All right, today we're diving into a seminar that makes a pretty wild claim that your mind can perceive any place, anytime from right where you are. This is the whole idea behind a practice called remote viewing, and we're going to break down the framework and the techniques behind it. So let's just jump straight to the big, mind-bending question that this whole thing is built around. Can your mind actually travel through time and space? And this quote, this really gets to the heart of it. The idea that you don't need to go anywhere because every place, everything is already accessible from within you. It's a huge statement, so let's see how they build the case for it. Okay, so to get our heads around this, we first have to look at the big idea behind it all. It's this concept of the unbounded mind, which they ask you to picture as a vast, infinite ocean. Now here's where it gets really interesting. This isn't just your mind we're talking about. The idea is that it's a shared consciousness, a single universal mind that connects every living thing. And this mind, well, it exists totally beyond our normal limits of time and space. So, let's stick with this metaphor for a second. If the mind is this huge, infinite ocean of awareness, then what does that make us? Well, according to this framework, we're not like separate little boats floating on the water. No, the idea is that we are all windows, each one looking out onto that exact same ocean. We all have our own unique view, for sure, but we're all fundamentally looking at the same thing. And this is the final piece of the metaphor. Our everyday thoughts, that constant mental chatter, they're just ripples on the surface. The whole goal of the techniques we're about to look at is to quiet those ripples so you can sink down into the calm, deep awareness that's underneath. Okay, so that's the theory, but how do you actually do it? How do you get to that quiet place? Well, the first method they teach is a pretty simple but powerful breathing technique, inspired by Zen, that's designed to quiet down your intellect. Let's break this down. First up, you just use your breath, nice and deep, to calm down all that mental noise. Then you consciously let go of your sense of self, that feeling of I, and just sink into that quiet ocean feeling. Once you're calm, you just gently form an intention to see a distant place. The key is not to force it. And this is crucial. If you feel your brain starting to guess or analyze, you stop, go back to just breathing, and then try again. It's a cycle of calming down and then gently intending. All right, so if the breathing technique is the starting point, this next one is, well, it's a bit more advanced. It involves using a specific mantra and visualizing a pretty complex geometric shape. So you're probably wondering, what on earth is a Merkaba? Well, in this context, think of it like a vehicle for your consciousness. It's this very specific geometric shape, an 8-pointed star made of 2 interlocking tetrahedrons that you actually build in your mind's eye using sound. Now, the process for this is really structured. You start by silently repeating this 3-syllable mantra. And as you repeat it, you visualize the sound itself, forming these golden triangles, which then build themselves into the 2 tetrahedrons. Then, you see them join up and start to rotate, creating the Merkaba. The very last step is to place your awareness right in the center of that shape, expand it with your mind, and then set your intention to travel. Okay, so we've got these mental exercises, but this is where things take a really sharp turn into some fascinating territory. The seminar starts to reframe these techniques not just as spiritual practices, but as a kind of advanced internal technology for interacting with reality itself. So according to the speaker, there's a fundamental 4-step process for how anything gets created in the universe. It all starts with pure consciousness, just awareness. That awareness then produces a specific sound or a tone. That tone then creates a resonant field of light energy. And finally, that light form gathers enough energy until it actually materializes into a physical 3D object. It's a journey from pure thought all the way to a tangible thing. And this is where they draw a really stark contrast. On one side, you've got our technology, which is described here as mechanical, inert, separate from us. And on the other, you have this theoretical ET technology that is supposedly conscious, alive, self-healing, and literally materialized right out of the mind of its creator. It's a completely different way of thinking about what technology even is. To try and make this idea of materializing from thought a bit more concrete, the speaker tells this story about ET clothing that has no zippers, no seams. And the explanation they give, it's materialized directly onto the body from an energy field and then dematerialized when it's not needed anymore. The whole point is that the object is created from thought, on demand. Okay, so we've covered the mind as an ocean, mental techniques, and even consciousness as a form of technology. So, where is this all going? What's the end game? Well, the final section connects all these ideas to a much bigger cosmic picture of our own innate potential. And the list of things you can supposedly do once you master this, it's pretty long. We're talking about remote viewing, sure, but also seeing the future, precognition, all the way to healing, materialization, even affecting change on a global scale. The argument is that these aren't a bunch of separate powers, but just different ways of using the same fundamental control over consciousness. And this, right here, is the big takeaway from the whole seminar. The main message is that this isn't about learning some secret knowledge from somewhere else. The entire point is that all of this knowledge, this incredible potential, is already folded deep inside the consciousness of every single one of us. So after walking through this whole framework, from the unbounded mind to consciousness as a kind of technology, we're really just left with one final big question to ask ourselves. What is the true potential of your own consciousness?